Hello everyone, this is Harshal Desai from Express Computer, the IT publication from the Indian Express Group. I welcome you all to this exclusive webinar that will help us today understand if application issues are bringing our business down and if it is the time to move on. As we already communicated to our delegates, a recent study conducted by Forrester on behalf of IBM analyzed the impact of downtime on 100 enterprise and found that the most significant consequences of downtime are loss of revenue, decrease in productivity, and harm to a company's reputation. Not surprising that 86% of Indian organizations see application observability as a key drive to achieve core business goals. But more interestingly, just 8% believed that they have a mature observability practice. An ideal observability platform, goes beyond traditional APM solutions by democratizing observability. So anyone across DevOps, platform engineering, IT operations, and development can get the data they want with the context they need. In today's webinar, we will understand how IBM Instana has been helping organizations in India achieve optimum application performance and ensure the business is always up and running. Today's session shall be conducted by Mr. Guru Raghavendra, who is a brand technical specialist, automation at IBM India and South Asia. Now, let me introduce our speaker to all the delegates who have joined us today. Participating in this webinar. Guru is a pre-sales architect for the IBM AI Ops and IT automation suite of products, having 17 plus year experience in the IT industry in application monitoring, automation, and observability domain. Today, before we start this webinar, there are a few house rules that we would like you, everyone, all the delegates to please go through before I hand it over to the virtual desk to Mr. Raghavan. I request you all to please go through these house rules. Let me also read it out for you. This webinar, as you see, is being broadcasted live and will be available as on demand on our website. This is an audio video webinar. We will have a poll questions in between. Request you all to please actively participate in the same. We will have a round of question and answer, of course, towards the end of the session. You can send in your questions using the Q&A text box, and we will address the same after the presentation. If you face any technical issue, please use the Q&A text box to send in your issues, and we will try to solve the same to the best of our abilities. And if any of your questions are unanswered, we will connect with you over email to answer the same. Also, we request everyone to please fill out the feedback form. You shall be redirected to the feedback form at the end of the webinar, and we request you all to please fill out the form as well. Now, it's time to start the webinar, but before we do, I would, request my team. We have a very interesting video, and before I hand it over to Raghavendra, we would love to, all the delegates to watch this 2-minute interesting video. May I please request my team to run the video?
Businesses today rely on a complex web of applications to function. In the light of this, can you afford any application delays or any application downtime? Absolutely not. It will impact your customer satisfaction. It will cost you a fortune. So how do we fix this? Introducing IBM Instana, the enterprise observability champion from IBM. It helps you track interdependencies right from the code to the customer. It does it super fast, super easy. You don't believe me? Let me show you. Advantage 1, full stack visibility. Continuously monitor application performance, microservices, Kubernetes, databases, API, serverless, and containers. Advantage 2, real-time observability. observability in real time, as every metric that Instana collects is at a 1 second resolution, while most other tools do it in 10 seconds. This, along with AI Ops, helps immediately detect and prevent problems from occurring. Advantage 3, more than 50% reduction in the mean time to resolution, the MTTR. Real-time detection and mapping of all interdependencies reduces the risk and decreases the MTTR by ensuring that you're always looking at the accurate information. Advantage 4, transparent pricing. Simple, predictable, and transparent pricing. No surprises. Customers who moved from another APM provider to Instana have increased their monitoring landscape from production all the way to DevOps. Advantage 5, the business impact. Increased operational efficiency, improved application availability, increased deployment frequency, and last but not the least, improved end-user service levels. Quite frankly, these are just the tip of the iceberg. There is more to use and more to gain with IBM Instana, empowering your IT to become everyday heroes of your business. To know more, log on to ibm.biz/Instana page. IBM Instana. Simple, efficient, and easy.
Thank you so much, team, for that video. Now, with this, I shall, hand it over to Guru.
Thank you, Harshal. So everybody has an understanding of how the application monitoring works and why it is necessary, etc., etc. Okay, so that has been going on for last 20 years, but we have also been a consumer of a lot of applications straight in our mobile phone, right? Apart from using our banking applications, we use IRCTC, we use UPI day in, day out. Okay, we use Ola apps, we use the other Uber or whatever transportation applications, we use Swiggy, etc., etc. So the applications have become business, right? So the applications, what we consume, they are generating revenue for the company and they employ a lot of people. That is on the other side. But as a consumer, now it has become indispensable because they save a lot of time, even though they are costly sometimes. Take for an example, you are booking a train ticket for Diwali using an IRCTC app, right? So that's something which is happening every year, and a lot of people, assuming it is somewhere around 1.5 to 2 million, who log in exactly at that particular point in time, which is around 10 o'clock, okay, to try to book a ticket. Okay, so from personal experience, if you have already booked and if you are not relying on any of the ticket vendor, for example, the first thing what we know about is when you switch on your app, for example, IRCTC mobile application, it will start rounding, right? After taking the credentials, it will start rounding, and there itself you will get a high BP. That is the first part. The second part is, if you are lucky enough, it will log in, and then you will fill up all the details. You search for the train, you find the 2 AC or 3 AC, whatever you prefer, and then you click, you add the passengers, and then it will ask you to do the payment gateway, right? You have to pay for the tickets, and that is another moving part wherein, okay, so you filled all the details, which is not replaceable. If you have to go, then you have to again start from the beginning. Then you go to payment gateway, and there also it starts rotating. Okay, you don't know whether the payment gateway will go through or it will not go through. Then luckily, then it will go through. Then you go, you enter your account details, your PIN number, etc., etc. Once that is done, and then click OK, then the bank has to confirm that it is okay, and you have to pray to God that the bank's return is coming back to IRCTC app, and then you will get a confirmed ticket. Okay, so that if you understand the structure as a customer, you don't understand all these things, because how complex the application is and what are the moving parts, who is managing what, etc., etc. If you are able to book the tickets, then everybody is okay. Okay, if you are not able to book the tickets, then you will start cursing. Okay, so the cursing will go to the IRCTC management, the Indian Railways, the railway minister, the prime minister, the party to which the prime minister belongs to, the government officials, right? The bank people. And you will also start blaming your family that you don't have to go for Diwali and you have skipped ticket booking and all the other things which are coming along with it. Okay, so this is a nice story to hear, but it is a repetitive story, right? It is not only about Diwali. Every time you rush to book a ticket, this is what is happening. Okay. And IRCTC is a monopoly. Okay, so if you want to book a train ticket, you have to go to IRCTC. There is no other option for you. Either you can go directly or you can go via the agent, if you are lucky. Okay, so that is availability. Now, in spite of us being IT people, we know how complex to set up a particular infrastructure to cater to around 2 million transactions per second. Okay, we are talking about per second because everything happens exactly at that particular point in time, right? 10 a.m. in the morning. We get frustrated in the middle if the performance of an application is not up to the mark. Okay, so that is the first part which we need to gather. The second part is on the other side, inside the IRCTC, the complexity of the system to have this particular transaction successful for majority of the people. Not all people will get the ticket, of course, and not all people will have the smoother transaction, but majority of them, 90% and above or 95% and above, should have a very smoother experience. And in order to ensure that, they need to have a visibility into the environment, right? So it is not a very simple monolithic application having tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 and database, right? So it is not as simple as that. The IRCTC application spans into thousands of microservices running on a large distributed system, highly load balanced with separate integrations for the customer, separate integrations for agents and the third parties and other things. Okay, and this case is similar. Okay, so this is a highly competitive environment like UPI. In the same situation, you do it day in and day out. For example, you go to groceries and you pay using your mobile phone, right? If everything goes through, it is fine. If it doesn't go through and if you don't have your wallet with you, then it is another case. Okay, so you again start sweating and then you start blaming the people. But in this case, it is not a monopoly. UPI is not a monopoly. If GPay is not going through, then you will switch over to Amazon Pay, or you go to Phone Pay, or you go to your banking Bharat Pay, right? So the multiple possibilities are there for you to execute the transaction if one application is not working. In this case, monopoly versus highly competitive environment. Now, whether your application or whether your company is monopoly or whether it is a highly competitive environment company, your application latency is very, very important, right? So if, for example, in train ticket case, if you are not able to book the train ticket, IRCTC is losing the money for today. But anyway, you will catch the flight, or you will go via your car, or you will book a bus. Some options are available for you, or you will cancel your trip. That is okay, but you are losing business. Okay. In case of UPI, you are losing the transaction money. Okay, so whatever per transaction charges they can charge, that you get, that the GPay is losing it, and they are also losing their brand name. And usually from the survey, this is what we understand. If your application latency increases by 1 second, okay, and this value is decreasing nowadays. Initially, we used to wait much longer, but since the introduction of 4G and the introduction to be of 5G, some of the people are already using it. The patience of the people is waning. Okay, so which essentially means that the application latency should be as small as possible. Any increase in latency will lead to the customer dissatisfaction, and these are some of the percentages of how the customer will leave you and how the businesses will lose the money and how the brand will be impacted, etc., etc. So the applications, especially most of the companies which have the applications as the backbone, whether it is serving the internal customers, which is employees, or external customers, or the partners and the peer-to-peer businesses, etc. The applications and the availability and performance of the applications is very, very important. And we saw about the complexity of the applications. Gone are the days where we can deploy it as a 2-tier, 3-tier, or 4-tier applications, right? The monolithic culture is slowly going away, and people are starting to run the digital transformation project. And one of the key important pillars of digital transformation is to introduce the high availability and elasticity using the microservices architecture. And the moment we say microservices architecture, we are talking about the containers, and we are talking about the elasticity of the cloud. So the hybrid cloud technology also will come into the picture. And here, there are a lot of moving parts. It is not as simple as I have only 4 servers and 2 database servers and they are talking to each other. So that you can visualize even within your brain, and then you can say that, okay, this is where the issue will be, and then I'll go check manually. Okay. In this case, there will be hundreds of boxes. There will be thousands of microservices. There will be a distributed database. And essentially, you have to have an understanding of where exactly the issue, because the manual troubleshooting is not going to work. Okay, that is where the observability comes into the picture, wherein from APM, you will understand that there is an issue and where is an issue. In observability, it will also tell you that there is an issue, where is the issue, why is there an issue, and it will also help you to automate the fixing of the issue. Okay, so it will do the full loop of this. Okay, that is where the observability part comes in. Instana is an observability platform. In the observability and the application monitoring space, there are over 70 products. Okay, so in the industry, if you look at this is not exactly a new science. It has been there for 20, 25 years now. People used to monitor the processes, then it became APM, then the APM. There were tools like Dynatrace, AppDynamics, and a lot of others before also from CA, from BMC, and other products. Now, latest, we have the open source products also, right? So a lot of very focused monitoring from the open source tools, so that is also available, and a lot of standards like OpenTelemetry and other things are also available to monitor your applications. So where do we fit in? Okay, so we need to have some differentiators on how we can fit in. So one of the differentiators is our collection of data. Okay, so the collection of data here will say that we collect the metric data to every second. Okay, so whether it is a OS based metrics like CPU, memory, disk, or whether it is application metrics like heap space for Java or table space for a database, etc., etc. So we collect the matrices at 1 second granularity. Okay, where is this 1 second granularity impacting us? It is like continuous monitoring. Okay, so we don't miss even the small spikes. That is what we are guaranteeing. Even if there is a small spike, if I do 5-minute polling interval, then I will miss the spike. But in this case, I will not miss that spike also. The second part is I am taking out 100% of traces. Okay, so I'm collecting 100% of transactions happening in your application environment and storing it in the backend for you to analyze. That is the second part of that. Most of the competitors, they do sampling. Sampling essentially means if 5 or 6 transaction happens, they will capture one and then keep it. Okay, and then do the extrapolation of the latency and other figures. We don't do that. We collect 100% of traces and then do it. And this type of highly granular data, it will also help you with the noise reduction, because I have to create my baselines from this particular data, and this particular data is very, very accurate and very, very raw. Because of that, my baseline will be very, very accurate. And in that case, any alert which I generate, it will be also very, very accurate. The amount of false alerts you will get is very, very minimum. We also support 300 plus technologies. Okay, so it is not only about IBM technologies. We also cover IBM technologies. Of course, we are IBM products. We also cover the standard developmental technologies which are happening in the environment across the industries, including the SAP and the components, and also including the IBM technologies like IBM Power, IBM Mainframe, etc. Okay, so we are talking about very unique technologies for which most of the competitors will not support. Okay, so that is the other part. Okay, now we are saying that we are doing all these things, etc., etc., etc. Now the question is not about what we can do, because it is the same across most of the tools. The custom competitors, they will also claim that we also do almost the same, or we do same, etc., etc. Okay, so that is not the problem. And most of them, including us, we also say that your application landscape will be covered and we do the monitoring, so and so, so and so. But what are the differentiators, right? So in order to sell a tool, or in order to convince the customer that this is the best tool to go, there should be some levers which you consider as an advantage over the others. These are the 3 levers. Okay, so the first one is automation. Okay, so this automation piece is where we excel. Okay, you just deploy an agent on your application server. It will do the full discovery and full instrumentation, and then it will do the monitoring for you. Okay, it will also do the dynamic discovery. If you introduce a new application tomorrow on the same server with the agent running, it will also discover that within 30 seconds and then continue the monitoring for you. In container environments, etc. So this is very, very important, because in containers, these are ephemeral. Okay, so in ephemeral means the containers can be brought up and then deleted at the will, right? So if there is an expansion in the TPS, they will introduce new containers for load balancing. If the containers are not necessary, they will just delete the containers and bring back it to the old state set, etc. So that is possible. So your monitoring has to be very agile. It should be automatic. There should not be any manual intervention required. Every time you introduce a new solution, for example, or a new technology, for example, you should not go to particular configuration file and then do the changes telling the team tool that, okay, I have introduced the Java, start monitoring it. These are the configurations. That should not happen. That is not manageable. That is not also the expandable in the dynamic environments. So the automation, wherever possible, it has been fully automated, which essentially means the time of onboarding your applications into monitoring is very, very quick compared to our competitors. The second place where we differentiate is the contexting part. Okay, so in the contexting part, what we mean is whatever data we collect. Okay, so the people will say that you collect a lot of data. Yes, we collect a lot of data. But how to identify the meaningfulness of the data, right? So we have to extract whenever there is an anomaly, whenever there is an issue, we have to tell you where is the root cause. If we are giving you a particular log file error, for example, we have to also give you all the associated things along with the log file, right? So it can be, for example, SQL 01003. If I give that particular log file only to the SQL DBA, he will understand, of course. But if I give it in the overall context to everybody else, nobody will understand what exactly is there. So in this case, Instana will ensure it has a 360-degree contexting. Okay, so it will tell you what log file in what container, when it was written during which exact transaction, that transaction was initiated by whom, it ended where, what is the HTTP call is about, what is the code at that particular point in time, what are the methods and classes being invoked, what is the infrastructure components used for this particular transaction, what are the matrices associated for those infrastructure components, what are the events associated at that particular point in time. If a user is involved, what is that user details which are involved in that particular transaction, etc. So every time we provide you a particular data in the UI, we also provide you the 360-degree view of where, how, why, and the associated data. So you don't have to hop to multiple places. That is the contexting part. Third part is intelligent action, right? So you use automation to onboard your application. You do contexting to derive meaning from the particular data which you collected. So essentially meaning you have the alerts. So the main thing about the alerts is somebody has to either work on them to fix it manually or you have to remediate, right? So the remediation part is intelligent action. So the intelligent action will be helpful if you can call a script. For example, your process is down, maybe a DB process, and if you want to go automatically restart if it is detected, then it is possible. Yes, you can call the intelligent action. We call it as action framework. It can go and restart the DB process and then do the closed loop incident processing. We call it as CLIP. Okay, so it can do the end-to-end. It can detect, it can give you the root cause, and it can also fix in some of the cases. Yes, and depending on whether you want to fix automatically or you want to escalate it via ITSM or the incident management tool, that is also possible via notifications. Just to dive deeper into what automation means, the three pillars we saw. The first thing is we talked about auto discovery. You deploy the agent will auto discover if there is a new technology which is introduced, or if you upgrade your existing technology, which essentially means if you go from Oracle 18c to Oracle 19c, if there are additional metrics to be collected for 19c, you don't have to tell our agent. The agent knows that there is a new version. It will automatically start collecting those 4 matrices automatically. That is the first part. Second part is whenever there is an agent involved, there is always an administrative part involved, right? So you have to upgrade the agent, you have to keep it up and running, etc., etc. In this case, our agent has the capability to self-upgrade itself. You just define the downtime. Okay, so you can mention that the downtime is every Sunday or every second Sunday in the morning from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and the agent will go pull the new packages and then auto upgrade itself. That is possible. So it is reducing the amount of administrative work you do. All the front end dashboards, visualizations, everything is pre-filled for you. Okay, so as soon as the agent collects the data, the dashboards will be filled for you and you are ready for the day 2 operations. Okay, so even if it is not day 1 operations because you have to do one-time settings, you are ready for day 2 operations because all the data and the dashboards and other things which normally an operations team will expect, that is already there. And finally, we are also saying that we are doing the automated RCA and automated remediation. Okay, so that is also possible. And there is, of course, the guided troubleshooting and other things which are there in the tool. Okay, so this is the automation part of it, which is making our lives easier as an administrator when we start using the tool. And one more part of the automation is also about the PLG. We call it as a product-led growth. So usually it is as a SaaS offering. You don't have to depend on a particular technical specialist to enable you to start using the product. Okay, so it is very, very easy to subscribe yourself, or you can just do the POC yourself using the free trial, and then you can start acquiring the licenses and use it. Okay, so it's very, very easy from the technical point of view to start using the product. Okay, so that is another advantage of automation. And in contexting, we have a lot of visual elements. I can show the visual elements. It looks something like this. This is a service topology, right? So in applications, you need to understand what services are involved and which service is talking to which service and how the traffic is flowing. If there is an issue, then exactly which service there is an issue. If there is a latency, then where is the bottleneck, etc., etc. So those things. And I'm not talking about events, I'm talking about the visual detection of it. Okay, so you need to have a visual indicator. For example, this gray icon, it will show you whether it is yellow or whether it is red, depending on what is the impact on a particular service. The traffic, whatever dots, small dots you see, this will glow as a green or it will glow as a red. Okay, it will also tell you the transactions are failing, etc. So the visual indicators, what we call as inside the dynamic graph, is also very good. Okay, so it will help you to do the detection of the issues visually. And also automatic anomaly detection, meaning we collect a lot of matrices. There are hundreds of matrices which are being collected at multiple levels. So sometimes, depending on the amount of estate you have, it can go into thousands. And it is not possible always to configure the thresholds for each and every metric. Okay, so that's another nightmare. So that is why most of the tools which come in, including us, we have introducing the machine learning based anomaly detection, meaning we create the baselines, which means we essentially understand at what point in time what exactly should be the range of the metric, and if it goes beyond that range, we auto detect and then we send the metric alert. Okay, so we are not waiting for you to configure the thresholds. We are using the anomaly detection to, from the baseline, we will send you the alerts if there is a deviation. We also do the automated root cause analysis. Okay, so this is also zero touch. This is a machine learning enabled, no training, no nothing. Okay, so it will do the automated root cause analysis for you, and then it will tell you what is the impact, what is the root cause, and what are the symptom alerts, and then from there you can take it upon. Okay, so that these are the contexting advantages apart from the 360-degree view of the data. And in intelligent actions, here we are talking about how to fix it. So these are the different options which are available. It can be guided troubleshooting, or it can be calling a simple script and fixing it, or you can also call the Ansible, for example, to run a playbook. Okay, and then from the playbook, it can go and remediate if multiple systems are involved. You can go and remediate using the Ansible playbook, and it will come and update the Instana with the status. It will fix the issue, and you will not even know that it has fixed the issue, right? So it is a complete closed loop incident problem solving. Okay, all this time we spoke about how Instana is good and how Instana is a differentiator, right? So it is, first one is automation about Instana. It is very simple to use. It is highly automated. It is very simple to set up, simple to administer, and simple to onboard your applications. And very minimum instrumentation is required in your application to use it. Okay, so that is the first part. Second part is we saw contexting, which essentially means that we are providing the 360-degree view of data along with the visual indicators for you to start troubleshooting. The third part is the intelligent action, which wherein in the same tool, you can not only collect the data, you can also analyze the data and then fix if there is an issue. Now we are coming to another part where we are saying that the pricing model of the tool is nothing alike to what IBM is used to, right? So IBM, usually people associate it with complex tools with pricing which they don't understand, or pricing which is way higher. Okay, so this is an anathema. Instana is an acquired product and it is in a highly competitive industry. And IBM is pricing it unlike any other tools. Okay, so the pricing is based on the number of agents we deploy. That is the only criteria we have. If we deploy 50 agents, it will be 50 licenses, and there is a cost of per license per month in subscription model, etc., etc. But there is no variable cost. Okay, so you will know cost upfront on what you will exactly be spending for the next 1 year. So that is another advantage with IBM Instana, unlike some of our competitors where they will have multiple criteria, right? And the number of users, for 5 users, this much, for 10 users, that much. Or if you ingest 5 GB of logs, this much, then 50 GB of logs, that much, etc. So they have 100 parameters on how to calculate licensing cost. Essentially, you will get to know what you are going to spend only after you get the bill. Okay, so you will not know upfront what is going to be there. But in our case, as I said, so it is very simple pricing, and it is a very fixed pricing. So you will get know beforehand how much you are going to pay for it. And these are some of the data which has been collected from our live customers. We have over 2,000 customers worldwide, and in India we have over 18 customers. We started the business last year. And this is the live data of what business impact had by the tool. Okay, so the first one about the risk, what they had is why for improving the MTTR and MTTD. Okay, so these are two key important operations KPIs. The first one is the mean time to detect, and the second one is the mean time to resolve. Okay, so you have to identify what is the issue, where is the issue, and why is the issue, and the second is you want to also resolve the issue. Okay, and in this case our customers were able to achieve 69% MTTD and 52% of MTTR. That's the first part. Second part is 86% of time and effort. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is a very highly automated tool. You don't have to spend a lot of time on this tool. Okay, so you have to spend only when you are troubleshooting. You should not waste any time on administering it or continuously logging and doing some changes here and there, etc., etc. So we are freeing up a lot of time for you. Okay, and you can also operate this tool via REST API. That is also possible. And since it is highly automated and operatable with REST API, you can also use it in your CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so you can use it for continuous monitoring inside your DevOps cycle in CI/CD pipeline, wherein you can analyze the anomaly, wherein you can do the analysis of your A/B testing or your canary deployment. Okay, so since it is instant on onboarding, very, very quick, you can see the before after scenario, right? So in version 1, what is the performance, version 2, which you are going to release next week, what is the performance, etc., by diverting the traffic, and you can do the analysis instantly with Instana. Okay, so that is very, very advantageous because it is very, very dynamic. This is again the summary part. We talked about how it is real time. Since we monitor 1 second and 100% traces, it's very, very real time, which means we detect the issues as soon as the impact is deteriorating. We are not waiting for full downtime. As soon as the performance is deteriorating, we are capturing it. Okay, so we are real-time monitoring. The second one is a continuous automation part, which we understood. Third one is contexting. Fourth one is intelligent action, which we understood. And the fifth one is predictive analytics. So in predictive analytics, for some of the matrices, since we do the baseline and we understand whether it is increasing and what rate it is increasing for time series, we can also predict up to 1 hour before. Okay, it may not look like a full AIOps capability, because in our full AIOps product, which is called Watson AIOps, we can predict up to 48 hours before, but that is a different extended capability. In Instana, it can predict up to 1 hour before for the OS matrices, at least the CPU, memory, and disk, that it is going to be filled in next 1 hour, and then you can go and then fix the issues, or you can do the cleanup of your file system, etc. So that predictive analytic capability is there. And from the reviews point of view, so in the G2, which is based on the feedback given by the customers, whoever has used Instana, they have given the very high rating, and we are in the top leaders position. Okay, so it's not coming from any of the vendors who are doing the survey. It is directly coming from the customers who are using the Instana as a product, and they have given a very favorable outcome, okay, because of the easiness or the automation which is involved of using this particular tool, and how effective it is in doing the root cause analysis and identifying where exactly and why exactly there is an issue. Okay, so that is another advantage of this particular tool, and the feather in our cap for the trust which the customers have put in on the tool. Where is it applicable? It is usually applicable for the customers who are having anything between physical server to hybrid cloud. Okay, so they can have old physical servers on which the monolithic application is running, or they can have hybrid cloud environment with the containerization, etc., etc., or fully cloud environment with the usage of PaaS and SaaS services for their applications and end to end. Okay, so that anything may be the case, but one advantage, even though we cover all the other technologies we have over other competitors, is if you use IBM technology, then we are the product for you. Okay, so since it is IBM product, and IBM has a lot of other products, the middleware and in the application hosting services, if you use IBM technologies, including IBM Power Servers and Power Mainframes, so CP4i, so this is the integration suite, then Instana will be a very good tool for you, because we cover monitoring for them. Second, where we are focused currently and where we are releasing our updates is the SAP monitoring. So if you are into SAP backbone, like for example in manufacturing companies, and if you want to analyze the end-to-end transactions, right? So we are not talking only about the SAP-based analytics, wherein it will tell you how the SAP is performing. We are talking about the end-to-end operations of how the transaction is happening from your for example, partners or the distributors, so they will access your order processing system from your mobile applications or web pages or API endpoints, etc., etc. It will traverse first through the x86 systems, right? So there will be some front-end applications there, and then there will be some temporary database. Then it will go to SAP system. SAP system will have HANA or it can have an Oracle database. So there's a lot of moving components outside of SAP as well, and they interact with SAP continuously. So if you want to do the end-to-end monitoring and not only SAP, then Instana will be the tool for you. All right, with this, let me close the presentation and I'll show you the glimpse of the tool itself on how it looks like, etc., etc. The do. Okay. This is Instana front end. After you set up and onboard your application, so this is how it looks like. What you see is what you get. Okay, so your infrastructure, which essentially means your servers will be residing in the infrastructure layer, your containerization layer, or your platforms like vSphere, Kubernetes, your IBM Power Series, Z Series, etc. It will remain in this particular area. Your applications and service monitoring will be in this particular area. If you have websites and mobile applications onboarded for monitoring, it will be here. Okay, so you have only 4 or 5 tabs which you will use continuously, and that is the maximum which most of our customers will be using day in, day out, apart from the events part. All right. So if you get into infrastructure, then it will tell you what exactly is present in the infrastructure. Okay, so each box will represent a particular server. If you hover on a particular box, it will also tell you what are the different technologies which are hosted on that particular box. Okay, in this case, it is Kubernetes cluster with a worker node. This worker node is having multiple containers, and then the containers, these are the different technologies which are running. There is a DB2, there is a JProxy, there is JVM, there's an Nginx, Node.js, and multiple other applications hosted on a particular container. Okay, so it is just clicks. So you click once, it will ask you whether to open the dashboard, etc., etc. So you can go into the dashboards. And now you are into host. Okay, so it is underlying worker node. On the worker node, then what are the different matrices which are being collected, visually represented. Okay, so you don't have to create anything. You install the agent. This is a predefined dashboards with predefined widgets. Everything will be automatically populated for you. Okay, and all the details about the file systems, the networking, the TCP activity, the top processes, etc., based on the CPU, based on the memory, these things will be listed here. You can expand the list. This is by default out of the box. If you want to add more matrices, you can add more matrices. Similarly, you can go into any of the technology and view the matrices collected for that particular technology. For example, it is a JVM. There are associated metrics like what are the threads, what is the heap memory, the memory pools, and if you want to integrate with Micrometer, for example, you can integrate with Micrometer and calculate the matrices from there. All the matrices you see at any level, whether it is application front end, back end, middleware, database, or if it is a OS level matrices or platform level matrices, they will go directly into anomaly detection. You don't have to configure thresholds. The option is there, which is essentially meaning you can go and configure the thresholds if you want, but it is not necessary. Apart from infrastructure matrices, we also discover the clustering layer, so virtualization layer. In this case, the containerization virtualization, which is the Kubernetes. Once you deploy the agent, it will discover the entire Kubernetes architecture. Okay, so what are the nodes which form the particular cluster? What are the matrices at each level? So in this case, what is the matrix, and what are the logs, and what are the deployments you have at the cluster level? You can go into the different nodes and find out what is the allocated resources for that particular node inside the cluster, and what is the utilization, what are the logs. You can see what are the pods running on that particular node, okay, and what is the status and the overall dashboard for each of the pods. You can go into individual pods and find out exactly what are the resource consumptions internal to that particular pod, what is the container running on that particular pod. It can be one, it can be many. And you can go into container and find out the different matrices which are collected at the container level. So here we are talking about the entire hierarchy of the Kubernetes. We start with the cluster, we start going into nodes, we go into pods, we go into the containers inside the pod, and we collect the metrics at all the layers. Okay, so it is not restricted only to high level. Similarly, we can do for other platforms also. Okay, so it will be similar to what usually architecturally you define it, whether it is vSphere, whether it is IBM Power, etc., etc. The second part and the most important part is we are talking about observability, right? Application observability. So it's all about applications. Once you group the services together into an application, that is one manual task which you need to do, then it will do the topology part. Okay, so this we saw also in the presentation part. It will group the services together. It will tell you which service is talking to what service, what exactly is the status of service. Currently, there is no issue, so everything is gray. If there is an issue, it will superimpose as a red or yellow. Okay, so that should be at the service level. It should be an impact on the service. Otherwise, it will not show here. And then from here, you can start troubleshooting. Okay, so you can go to any service and you can see the dashboard of the service. In the dashboard, it will tell you the calls, or you can analyze the flow of the service, or you can go and analyze the raw data. Okay, so all three options are possible. And in summary, it will be like any other APM tool. These are calculated metrics. What are the transactions which are happening? What calls are being generated for HTTP codes? Okay, so in this case, you can classify, and then everything is select and select. So you can view and filter on the basis of the response codes which it has. What is the erroneous call rates? What is the latency? What is the split? What is the top report in terms of latency? Which service is poor in terms of erroneous call rate? Which service is poor? So a lot of visual indicators plus visual correlation also. So it's not only about applications. If, for example, there is an error call here, so if you look at the left bottom, it will also tell you at that particular point in time, what are the infrastructure changes happening. Okay, so it is doing a visual correlation from your application layer to your infrastructure layer, and then you can go and see what changes were made in the infrastructure and if it has any impact on the erroneous call rate of your application. So you can do the visual correlation of this. The second part is if you don't want to analyze as an application, you want to analyze it as a service, then you can go into any service. The dashboard will look the same. The data will be the filtered data for that particular service. It will also show you the top endpoints, whatever endpoints it has, whether the calls, the latency, RNS call rate, etc., will be the same for that particular endpoint, etc. And you can analyze the flow from service to service. Okay, but it will be a different thing. It will interconnect all the different services from where it is talking, whether it is within the particular application or whether it is outside of the applications. If the service is a shared service, then you will come to know from here how the traffic is flowing and then who is having the bottleneck. In this case, the latency bottleneck is with these three services. Okay, so you can start troubleshooting visually, even without getting into the lot of specific details. Okay, so that is another advantage when you do the bottleneck analysis for services. So, and then you can do the analysis for the endpoints also. The graphs again looks the same, so I don't want to show it that one. The other important part is I want to understand the data, right? So we spoke about how we bring the data together to see what's happening at where. So we can go analyze that particular transactions. I'm not writing anything. There is no query language or anything to write. Okay, so it's a very simple to use interface. If I go into the individual transactions, then here it will give me the call tree. Okay, so it will tell me what exactly happens, what are the call, what is the sub calls, who is calling whom, okay, what type of HTTP call, what is the statuses which it is receiving, what is the infrastructure on which the destination and the source are running. Okay, so it will give the complete infrastructure. It will not give only the server. If it is a Kubernetes cluster, it will give you the entire Kubernetes cluster also. So you can go at any point in time and find out what is the metrics at any level. And if you enable profiling, then it will also tell you what are the CPU hotspot, what are the memory hotspots. Okay, so the hotspots of each and every thread that will also be enabled when you enable the profiling. If at that particular point in time any log message is there, it will create another block here, and then it will tell you what exactly is the log message, and it will put a triangle here stating that that log message came in this particular sub call. Okay, so it will tell that also. For databases, you will also get the details of the CRUD functions. Okay, so in this case, it is a document database, which is the MongoDB NoSQL. So it is submitting this as the query filter, but in normal RDBMS case, it will tell you what is the select query, insert, delete query, and other queries what you are running there. Okay, so it will tell you the exact query. And of course, wherever possible, the stack trace is captured, and the stack trace will have the code. Okay, so it will also tell you exactly what line is being invoked in this particular code. Okay, so then it is instrument did write, and then it is passing the arguments, etc., etc. So this is for the developers. They can read it from bottom to top, and then they can understand what methods and what exactly is being passed for this particular thing, and then they can start troubleshooting. And all this is done without doing anything. You just install the agent. If necessary, you do the instrumentation, which is not the case for around 80%. Okay, so 80% of the services, it will be auto discovery, auto instrumentation. For remaining 20%, maybe minimum changes are required, and that you need to do, for example, supplying username, password for database user, etc. The majority of the work will be done by the agent and will be done by the tool itself. You don't have to worry about this. How do I fetch the value from the data? How do I group the data together? Should I do the training, etc., etc.? So none of those questions needs to be undertaken, because it's a very simple tool to use. And to show you the sample of how the event looks like, the event will tell you the impact. Okay, so there is a particular discount service. That particular discount service is having the erroneous calls, which is increasing. Okay, and it is increasing in 10 minutes. It's coming from anomaly detection, so it will tell you the confidence interval also. With 95% confidence, I am saying that there is a 100% change in the erroneous call rate, and that's why I'm alerting. What calls are involved during this particular change, you can go and do the analysis of the calls. It will take you to the trace page, and it will also tell you the sequence of events which it has grouped together from the event correlation, and it will also highlight the root cause. Okay, in this case, the MySQL is the issue as soon as you see it. Why? Because it is down. Okay, so you will understand very easily where is the root cause and what are the symptoms, and you go and fix it. Okay. All right, with this, let me stop the demo and presentation of the Instana tool. We can proceed to the question and answer sessions.
Thank you, Guru, for the wonderful presentation and the demo. Before we move to question and answer, I think we have certain poll questions. So let's seek opinion responses from our delegates to this poll question. May I request my team to okay, yeah, it's on the screen. So the first poll question is, what are the key challenges you face in your application performance monitoring APM journey? And there are multiple choices. So I request all the delegates to please, participate in this poll. What are the key challenges you face in your application performance monitoring journey? I request all the delegates to please actively participate in the poll. Let's wait for some time. Okay, let's wait for 5 more seconds. What are the key challenges you face in your application performance monitoring journey? All right, may I request my team to show the results? Guru, as you can see this, would like to seek your response, your comment.
Yes, so from what we understand is a majority of them have not yet started their journey with the APM solution. That is okay, but Instana will be a very, very good solution for them, because it is very simple to start with rather than starting with a highly complex solution. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And whatever differentiators we gave,
All right,
that is
let's
true.
have the second question. Next question is, what will help you accelerate your APM journey? What will help you accelerate your APM journey? I again request all the delegates to actively participate in this poll. All right. May I request my team to show the results? Guru, over to you. Your comments.
Yes, so the automated root cause, that is what people want, because people spend most of the time there. Okay, so identifying an issue or identifying the location of the issue is very, very critical. Yes. And that is
Thank
done
you.
automated by Instana.
Thank you, Guru. Can we have the third question also? All right. Would you like to schedule a no-cost consultation with an IBM Instana expert on application performance monitoring? You can, if delegates, you may please answer this also, and the team will be happy to get in touch with you. Thank you. We can close this here. All right. Thank you, Guru. Guru, once again, thank you so much for your presentation and the demo. There were few questions, and some of them have already been, responded by our team member. But still, if you want, you may please once again, for so that everyone can listen to you and your views also. I can have this first question. Is this tool limited to a specific technology stacks? I think you have spoken about it and we already briefed the delegates. But again, if you can please comment on this.
Yeah, so the standard technology is what the developers use and where their journey will be. So those were selected and it were supported. So we currently support over 300 plus technologies, including majority of IBM based technologies. Yes.
Right. Thank you. Where the data is being kept, is it at your end or client's storage space? One of our team members already responded to this.
Mhm.
Would you like to add anything here?
Yes, so the data, the deployment has two components. One is the agent, one is the backend. There are two options of deployment. First one is the agent will reside there, but it will not do any analysis. It will collect the data. It can send the data to the backend. If you opt for on-prem deployment, then all the data will be there. So it is useful for BFSI and other segments where the data regulations come into picture. And we also provide a SaaS-based. So if you don't want to take the administrative overhead and if you are not worried about the data rules, anyway, we don't collect any PII. Personal information is not being collected anywhere. It's all telemetry data. But if you are apprehensive, we have SaaS solution as well. So in that case, the data will reside in the SaaS, which is hosted inside by IBM.
Right. Thank you. Just for delegates' knowledge, our team member, people at IBM experts have already responded to these questions. But I'm requesting Guru, again, so that if at all any one of you have missed the question, you can also get the answer. Right? Does this tool capture data transmitted through HTTP or sockets?
It will
Guru?
capture from HTTP as well as the gRPC sockets. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And is it SaaS product that can be used on Azure or AWS?
We have SaaS as well. Yes, that's what the question was there, right? We have both on-prem as well as SaaS. So if you're into fully cloud and if you want to use SaaS, you can use SaaS. Yes.
Right. There is one open question. In fact, in PaaS, how are we going to install the agent?
In PaaS and SaaS services like RDS or the DynamoDB, etc., or the app service or web service in Azure, etc., the agent will do the remote monitoring. Okay, so there is a special agent which is called as the AWS agent or the Azure integration agent. So it will be deployed on an EC2 machine, for example, or it can run as a container. And on the configuration files, you will give the account details, which means it will connect via REST API to the PaaS services and pull the matrices from there.
Right. Uh, there's one more interesting question. Can it also detect if a hardware upgrade, for example, TLS 1.1 upgrade has an impact on this? That's a technical thing for me. Guru, if you can please explain this.
You mean SSL layer, you upgraded it?
Yeah, you can see a question from Mr. Sanjay Shenvekar. Can it also detect if a hardware upgrade, for example, TLS 1.2 upgrade has an impact on the application?
It will detect it as a metadata change, yes.
Okay, all right. So that's all. From the delegate side, uh, we have answered almost all the questions, but still, if any one of you participating today in this webinar, if any point of time, if you want to ask certain questions or if you have other queries, you may please feel free to write to us. You can please write to IBM team, and we will be more than happy to answer or address your queries and concerns. Right, Guru?
Yeah, sure.
There is one more question. What integration and support does Instana offer? I know it is specifically they're asking for IBM cloud and infrastructure
Right.
services.
What
Yeah.
integration and support does Instana offer for IBM's cloud and infrastructure services? Thank you, Kapil, for that.
So
Guru.
usually the differentiation in the cloud is coming to the PaaS services. Otherwise, it is compute, and then the technology running on the computer, it is same as what we install the agent and then we collect it. In terms of PaaS, we are increasing our coverage. Okay, so we also support the Kubernetes cluster. We call it as a ROKS, ROKS cluster inside the IBM. We support that also. Yes. Okay, majority of components will be supported. Some PaaS services, the support may be in progress. Okay, it will be coming. But what is currently used, it should be supported. Yes.
So I think we thank you once again. Delegates have actually participated in the webinar, and thank you all on behalf of Express Computer. We thank you everyone for taking time out from your busy schedule and participating in this webinar. We shall close the webinar here. I again request delegates to fill out the feedback form, which you will be redirected to once we end the webinar. It will help us understand more from your side. Your views and opinion uh, do matter, right? And thank you once again. Thank you, Guru, to you also for the presentation. And we look forward to meeting you again in our next in-person or virtual webinars.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello everyone, this is Harshal Desai from Express Computer, the IT publication from the Indian Express Group. I welcome you all to this exclusive webinar that will help us today understand if application issues are bringing our business down and if it is the time to move on. As we already communicated to our delegates, a recent study conducted by Forrester on behalf of IBM analyzed the impact of downtime on 100 enterprise and found that the most significant consequences of downtime are loss of revenue, decrease in productivity, and harm to a company's reputation. Not surprising that 86% of Indian organizations see application observability as a key drive to achieve core business goals. But more interestingly, just 8% believed that they have a mature observability practice. An ideal observability platform, goes beyond traditional APM solutions by democratizing observability. So anyone across DevOps, platform engineering, IT operations, and development can get the data they want with the context they need. In today's webinar, we will understand how IBM Instana has been helping organizations in India achieve optimum application performance and ensure the business is always up and running. Now, with this, I shall, hand it over to Guru.
Thank you, Harshal. So everybody has an understanding of how the application monitoring works and why it is necessary, etc., etc. Okay, so that has been going on for last 20 years. But we have also been a consumer of a lot of applications straight in our mobile phone, right? Apart from using our banking applications, we use IRCTC, we use UPI day in, day out. Okay, we use Ola apps, we use the other Uber or whatever transportation applications, we use Swiggy, etc., etc. So the applications have become business, right? So the applications, what we consume, they are generating revenue for the company and they employ a lot of people, that is on the other side. But as a consumer, now it has become indispensable because they save a lot of time, even though they are costly sometimes. Take for an example, you are booking a train ticket for Diwali using an IRCTC app, right? So that's something which is happening every year, and a lot of people, assuming it is somewhere around 1.5 to 2 million, who log in exactly at that particular point in time, which is around 10 o'clock, okay, to try to book a ticket. Okay, so from personal experience, if you have already booked and if you are not relying on any of the ticket vendor, for example, the first thing what we know about is when you switch on your app, for example, IRCTC mobile application, it will start rounding, right? After taking the credentials, it will start rounding, and there itself you will get a high BP. That is the first part. The second part is, if you are lucky enough, it will log in, and then you will fill up all the details. You search for the train, you find the 2 AC or 3 AC, whatever you prefer, and then you click, you add the passengers, and then it will ask you to do the payment gateway, right? You have to pay for the tickets, and that is another moving part wherein, okay, so you filled all the details, which is not replaceable. If you have to go, then you have to again start from the beginning. Then you go to payment gateway, and there also it starts rotating. Okay, you don't know whether the payment gateway will go through or it will not go through. Then luckily, then it will go through. Then you go, you enter your account details, your PIN number, etc., etc. Once that is done, and then click OK, then the bank has to confirm that it is okay, and you have to pray to God that the bank's return is coming back to IRCTC app, and then you will get a confirmed ticket. Okay, so that if you understand the structure as a customer, you don't understand all these things, because how complex the application is and what are the moving parts, who is managing what, etc., etc. If you are able to book the tickets, then everybody is okay. Okay, if you are not able to book the tickets, then you will start cursing. Okay, so the cursing will go to the IRCTC management, the Indian Railways, the railway minister, the prime minister, the party to which the prime minister belongs to, the government officials, right? The bank people, and you will also start blaming your family that you don't have to go for Diwali and you have skipped ticket booking and all the other things which are coming along with it. Okay, so